Hey guys, this is DougDogsY, and today I'll be talking about a very interesting element of D&D, considering it's not really part of D&D, and that is outside of the game, what you do really D&D. Now, of course, there's some people out there who would rather just play any video game or anything really, rather than play D&D outside of D&D, or not even play, but think about or do an activity relating to it. They would rather just play Breath of the Wild or play Mario Odyssey or whatever they happen to play. And there are also some folks who have very different preferences to someone like me or someone like a different person who could be watching. So obviously all these activities won't be equally fun for different people because they all have to do with what you're skilled at. Anyway, probably the first method I'd say to have fun relating D&D outside of D&D is starting a chat with your D&D friends to plan and organize or even just talk about what happened. The reason I would advise this is because it's pretty easy to set up. If you have something like a Steam account, it's already built in. You can schedule something hundreds of ways with hundreds of sites to do this. But in general, it helps because, one, if you feel like your team isn't planned enough, like well planned for encounters, this is a perfect opportunity to get rid of that error. If you feel like you just want to be more planned and you already are planned, but you just want to be more planned because you're that kind of person, which I can relate to, then once again, good thing. If you just want to talk about what happened and flesh out what happened, and if you missed a story beat or something and they didn't, you can review the session and figure all those out. That's always fun too. Sometimes you can literally spend like hours just talking to these people and talking about ideas for stuff, and if you're talking to the DM, you can talk about, hey, could I try and make this out of this even though it's not in the rules, and they would, delegate if it's fair game. Don't get mad if they say no. It's a hard job to be a DM. Second thing is probably making artwork about the game. And it doesn't have to be good artwork, because the fact is, a lot of people aren't that talented at art, and I'm very much one of them. So, as long as it's fun, it's whatever. No one even has to see it, so it doesn't really matter. But sometimes it really is fun to just sketch out a really important battle that you had, or something else that happened. Sometimes it's even fun at the table, just to hear the DM describe some hammer, or some sword, or some spear, and just draw it out because you can. Quick, small sketch, or whatever. There will be some people better at this than others, because I have seen some good artwork from people at my D&D table, and I've also seen my own. You can tell the difference, I swear. But it's definitely fun, even for someone like me who's not that good. Usually I spend at least 5 minutes on it, say, well, this is trash, and then give up, but there are definitely some people out there who can do it much better than me. A third way is probably, or third, fourth, I don't know anymore, is making music about it. Once again, same rule applies for art. It doesn't have to be good music. It just, as long as you're having fun, it's whatever. This is definitely harder to get to than the art part, because you have to have an actual musical instrument. But, your voice is always one. So that is a big difference, where you could make a piece which is specifically just an instrument, or it could be multiple instruments, or anything really. Or it could be an actual song, or whatever. For example, just for some inspiration, if you have like a really solemn, serious fighter, or even a sort of solemn, serious fighter, it doesn't have to be that serious, it would probably have a battle marcher vibe to it, or even a paladin would probably have very much like on the drums, battle march into war vibe. If you have someone like a bard who's very silly and laid back, it would probably be something along the lines of piano, something more high pitch. That kind of stuff is sometimes all you need is that little bit of inspiration to get to it. Even classes like wizards and stuff are pretty good on piano because they're very calculated and cold. They don't have to be, but a lot of the time, since they're relying on intelligence, it does help to have a piano theme just to fit with that message and get it across. The next method, which is probably the most obvious one that I haven't mentioned yet, is writing your own D&D campaign. Now this is, if you're already running a campaign, even then it can be sort of fun to do, but I would also advise making a character instead, just for the next one, which is also good. But I would say for DMs, it helps with this kind of thing to, as I said, make a player character, that you could use at some point. Probably level 1 if you roll with that, or level 3 if you roll with that, whatever. Just because it sort of gets you out of the DM seat, gets you to start thinking about character inspirations and stuff more in depth than you would with NPCs, since it's your PC. But for players, I would advise running your own campaign, specifically because even if there is one guy who's really good with DMing, he probably wants a break every once in a while, and he probably wants to be able to play that new Battlemaster that he had planned, or that new Paladin he had planned with a really cool backstory or whatever. And it's sometimes really nice to be able to flesh out your own place and do all that kind of stuff. Even if you don't end up using it, it's fun to just have a thing where if the DM's like, hey, I'm out sick, sorry, we can't play, you can be like, nope, we're playing, with or without you, man. Which is always a fun thing, to be able to just take over for like a one-shot campaign, make sure everyone's happy, then when the new DM comes in, he'll come in with like an actual formulated story. Anyway, shorter video than usual. I think I can't check the time yet because I'm making the video at this very moment. So anyway, see ya, or whatever.